Welcome everyone to a micro kernel hypervisor video. This is not otherwise famous, popular Have You Tried? Today we only package that, so I, as per usual, a little bit research fun and so much stuff. And the crazy thing is there are actually so many kernels and projects and proof of concept and research out there, also Barrelfish and not to mention L4, but other even Intel Rust hypervisor and stuff. Basically, I could sit here all day. I mean, this is also the problem, right? People ask me, have you tried this and that? The problem is I look already very much around, and people should look more around, because Linus Torvalds is like, yeah, you can't use garbage C++ for anything kernel stuff. And it's like, yeah, other people, yeah, let's write a hypervisor, a micro hypervisor in C++, right? Because, and look at this code. I mean, I didn't look at everything. I mean, this is also not the most amazing file here. Also standard IO header and stuff. But I looked a little bit, so I didn't previously look into this. Also, yeah, it looks a little bit C-ish, but yeah, also otherwise, yeah. Sure, everything is not totally super amazing with C++, obviously, but it's also not as bad as Linus Torvalds always like, yeah, I can't use this. It's like, yeah, is this not GDT load, TSS load, IDT load and stuff, and like initially exception and stuff, and like, yeah, I would argue, I mean, this is not a complete review. This was like the first time I lunch break and stuff look into that, right? But people, I would argue, need to look around with more open eyes. My previous video a year ago did Linus Torvalds' Linux, how did I title that? Ruin micro operating system research, because everything Linux, but no, obviously not also micro hypervisor. And let's quickly test. So I never tried this before. There's also a new talk from FOSDEM these days. Cyberus Technology, German company behind this stuff. Also, this stuff is also open source and GPL. Relatively new company, newer than my company here in close to us in Dresden. Close to Berlin and Dresden. Anyway, sort of. And FOSDEM paper, yeah, minimizing CPU cycle waste and mitigating processor vulnerability by restructuring kernel address space. And as I say so often, right, Linux kernel, of course, vast amount of not as super portable and readable C code, not to mention security and stuff. But yeah, other people like, yeah, hold my beer, let's try mitigating vulnerabilities by restructuring kernel address space in our micro hypervisor written in C++. Amazing stuff, at least on the presentation. So let's actually quickly, let's see, 20 minutes. This could potentially just build, hopefully. That's famous. Also, yeah, they don't have releases. So let's also say, this is tree new mitigation prototype. Okay. Let's see, do they have master? Okay, so this is that and that. So you probably also could div that if you wanted. And I would, so trying this, I didn't make any research, just did I also didn't, okay, because I left the desk for a minute. Let's also build this with git clone this as normal user, not trusting other people, micro hypervisor stuff to ruin my system. And I'm actually tempted to package that in, also how did they want an object dir? I think they wanted an object dir, of course they want. So potentially, also yeah, catch 2, I saw that. The usual win-win of maybe we should also package catch 2, unit testing stuff. How to disable this at or if something. Yeah, incomplete. I figured so much to it should just build cmake. Not so very greatest fan of CMake cache, no. Right, the object here. CMake list. So that was, what was it? Test something of, what was the name of this stuff? Catch. Oh, come on. What? There, yes. where is this test stuff? There should be. So include C test, build test. Ah, here is okay. They probably, if build testing, how to control this, or is that, yeah, once upon a time there was configure and stuff, build testing off, so much to, maybe this was even, was it mentioned here? No, something, maybe somewhere. How do they have release? So they have, no, not Nix, but, come on, test. Where is, to build unit test can be avoided by passing to CMake. Yeah, okay, that is not, yeah. Okay, they don't have here any non-release, non-debug stuff, so let's do just that. And yeah, I'm tempted to, so let's see if it freaking builds. Oh, that built. There you have it, 2022. That was a short stream. Microhypervisor just builds without even, I mean, you don't know what their warning level, yeah, without even a single warning. Take that Linux kernel. And yeah, I mean, this is of course super little, right? Super, this is just, you see here, some ACPI stuff, entry. I mean, sure, this is even suspend. I wonder if this is an SVM, VMX. So this is just, but this is also, in a way, what I always say, right? Minimal, bare, minimal, and my own ideas of nano kernel microhypervisor similar. I'm not saying I would do it entirely like this, but this is kind of stuff that I really appreciate, and I wish like small building block components that you can reuse, and like similar to my dream of an hardware abstraction layer nano microkernel stuff, of taking like this kind of hypervisor stuff and boot stuff, and without even firmware, like making this a firmware of systems, and like a little bit similar to M1 N1. That also has amazing hypervisor testing facilities, but with Macan's M1 N1, you obviously see how efficiently you can develop with a micro nano kernel thing as your firmware, and having this most amazing test and playground. I wonder what you command line parameters, so this stuff. So they don't have more, so I wonder how you can use it for something. I mean, we could, do they have QEMU? So theoretically you should. How do they boot this with, is that multi-boot compliant? So you should even be able, I wonder how they structure their tests. Vodafone doxes, hello. So that is hypervisor. Okay, this is directly here. And yeah, it's not that micro. I wonder, this is probably not stripped though. Okay, that is into, what do they boot? They boot the hypervisor and TFTP. Once upon a time, although, is it upstream? We had once a patch for QEMU for multi-boot. I wonder if, let's see, the kernel system, x86, if we directly cannot load, give, okay, so the multi-boot is swap more, so you would need to chain load this with. I mean, right now it obviously doesn't do the most, I would need to read even more. I mean, it's a pity that they didn't document this here. Booting, so yeah, like this documentation leaves a little bit to be desired. Also, do they have more stuff like implementation, kernel interface, specification? What amazing stuff! Okay, so this is derived from the Nova hypervisor. I've seen this already previously, so maybe that stuff would apply. Yeah, would need to read more freaking manual how to actually use this stuff. And I think just, so yeah, at least it builds without warnings. And I think putting money where our mouth is and stuff. What did we register in? OFL license. What did I post? Copy paste updated stuff something. Okay, I guess that looks okay-ish. Hopefully, space-wise. Where's our Linux kernel? So let's, how many changes? Okay, none. Do we have Linux in here? Okay, we have Linux in there. Do we have a kernel repository? Yeah, I guess 2022 is exactly the right year where we should start supporting more kernels, right? And the firmware, do we have the firmware already in Linux? Okay, we had. Just to group this, recently we had also boot. I hope this doesn't, yeah, famous last words, I hope it doesn't break something. But continuing with cleanup work, and because then we can group the stuff. I would say the Linux header stuff is matching in there. And then mkdir, this looks somewhat decent to use because there are also so many other kernels, Hedron, and this is Intel hypervisor. They also have some, was it even? Yeah, cloud hypervisor. Not sure, was this one written in Rust? Yeah, so basically we could also package that. That is of course the point of T2. And yeah, as you see, maybe a little bit more getting started. I wish the other had a little bit more getting started. But yeah, 2022 continuing our research and keeping an open mind and packaging non-Linux stuff. So should we copy Linux or probably not because it is, or should we? It doesn't matter too much anyway. Hedron disk, and so this is also GPL. I saw this already. But basically nobody stops. We had this always on the to-do, right? Supporting more probably cross kernel LTO, kernel bin maybe. Actually I mean this is not, so we probably could remove that. Maybe for now we don't flex it as a whole kernel because it's like below the kernel firmware. You can build this with Linux. Maybe we call this alpha also. Yeah, basically nobody stops you from packaging other kernels with T2 and like BSDs and stuff. Maybe we just don't build this by default though. And did they had here? Oh, this is fork from, oh wait a second, oh wait, there's another. Did we apparently maybe build the wrong one? Maybe built the wrong, this probably was the security enhanced fork there. What did we URL? Let's use that one. yeah, not the most documented and a little bit, but yeah, this also, I didn't even know this company, right? Although they are not that far away, like less than 2 hours, I think, Dresden, Berlin, and there's so much stuff going on in the world that even I didn't know this company. But this also just proves the point that other people are similar, like we need more security. Hypervisor, yes, I was looking for that. With the core of this secure virtual platform, it's probably some commercial solution of theirs. And so git checkout, what did we probably could, yeah, but not unlike what I say since a decade, just that I was busy earning money with other stuff. It's probably tough sell. I wonder who their customers are, if they have government customers or space, obviously. Nothing like some bricks. They even have graphics virtualization, interesting stuff. So yeah, other people are also busy, and I probably should get myself more busy and with real state-of-the-art stuff. So what did we want to copy? Probably something like that here. Yeah, but leave in the comments below what kind of state-of-the-art stuff have you tried. I mean, we made this poll and people were not the most satisfied with the state of single Raspberries, monolithic. Oh darn, did I not press I enough? Yeah. But this is exactly what I mean, right? I'm not saying that this is perfect or that is exactly how I would want this. It certainly with my stuff it would look a little bit different. I looked, by the way, fun fact, I looked into the sources like for a couple of minutes. I mean, it's not that many sources we can actually quickly take a look. I'm actually curious how the SVM code looks like. Oh, here's EC. What is it? What does it mean? EC execution context. Okay. Yeah, but for some stuff that looks a little bit like I would have done it. And also least assembly and stuff is what I always said, right? People always performance assembly and stuff. I always said, no, we want this most portable code anyway. Yeah, a lot of, so of course building on other people's Nova microhypervisor, which we probably could theoretically also package, because why not? And yeah, in my opinion, this looks much more structured, readable and stuff than the Linux kernel that often is kind of a bit of more of a mess, especially the older code. The newer Linux kernel code is a bit better. The older code is the more decade aging code it is, the more it usually is. And this also proves that for decades you could have done it already much better than C, right? I'm not saying this is, of course, not perfect. I saw something, what did I, maybe was it ACPI? I saw somewhere open-coded array size. Was it maybe that one? Size of, wasn't that one? But so somewhere, where did I click earlier? The only criticism I found so far is they had open-coded size of some array thing divided by the dereferencing array. This is a little bit open-coded, and I would suggest to define here some globally used macro for array size. Usually, for my stuff, I use array size in all caps, and also defining some global descriptor tables, like just how you would do it, readable and stuff. Not sure what I clicked earlier where I saw that. But yeah, I would suggest wherever that was, maybe it wasn't the MTR support. Somewhere, most minimal stuff somewhere, something. But the only thing I've seen so far is, here is something size of this Rex. Okay, this is something else. This looks a little bit strange. Wherever I clicked earlier is the first thing. Yeah. I guess this is cool. Anyway, it doesn't matter too much. Let's package this stuff up and call it a day. But yeah. But question, did you play with any alternative stuff? If so, what are your findings? Hedron commit to be added. This is git appsgit plus that stuff, and then let's use, what is here, this hash here. Is D2 not amazing? I love this metadata stuff. It's the greatest invention since sliced bread. Let's propagate alpha. Is it all across something? All right, we need probably we need flag object dir, and code-wise we need var append cmake opt. That was this testing stuff. Theoretically, we could if we package that already, package installed. That was, what was it? Yeah, win-win. We should package that catch 2 and that, and then we need make inst or probably nothing, and instead install, what was it? Hypervisor in, where was it? In source Hedron object here, where was the source? Of course it was source. Install that to boot. So it would be probably root boot, I would say, for today. All right, we need probably better make a second. Don't need to cheap out on lines of code here. Let's see if that does what it's supposed to do. Let's see what happens. Yeah, otherwise this is exactly what I mean with readable, more modern code, and that you could have done better than open-coded C stuff for a long time. It's certainly nice to see other. Also, we didn't download that. Certainly good to see other people doing proper research. Some console stuff. What is it? This is all from Nova. Yeah, so this is 2022 state of the art. I mean, this is also the thing, right? Open source. The people who did the initial stuff. The fair licensing and earning money. People do some stuff and other people fork it and so on. And it's like, I mean, sure, this is in some ways how open source works, but I mean, this stuff is a little bit open coded. So this is not entirely how I would have done it. I would have some generic printf thing. I mean, this is in some ways, I mean, don't get me wrong, it's of course amazing and stuff, but it's so funny that I look at this and it's like, yeah, but that could be better, that could be, I mean, obviously there's always, I'm totally aware, software and hardware is never done, but I would have here some generic printf implementation and reuse that. I mean, the only reason for that would be to print it already on the go. But they put C that, but I would still, it's tiny nitpicking, but it's like, what else do we have here? Bootstrap AVR, but this also shows, this is certainly a good example of people always ask me how to start this kind of code. I would argue is one of the better ones to read. It's really small, unlike the millions of lines of the Linux kernel. Hedron, what's going on here? CMake, so it doesn't find catch 2. Did I? Probably did disable that wrong. Package, this is OR, yeah, just did this logic wrong. Wrong, stop. Yeah, but if you want to learn some stuff, look on some smaller things like that. What does it even do? Is it like mostly header? Because I have here, this is a little bit funny. Sources, what does it even, do they have the, this is by the way not my preferred style. I really hate the includes in another directory. That is super annoying in my opinion. Leave in the comments below what you think, because you always need to navigate back and forth. Okay, so this is some class. Is it instantiating this? Probably the instantiates. So this was just the list. Okay, so, but it's still a little bit funny of hpet list as locache hpet claim def find if interesting stuff. So let's see, we packaged some microhypervisor. Did it install something? Hedron, it installed put hypervisor, so far so good. Hedron, let's add some cache, RDM cache, Hedron cache, add all this stuff. And do we have anything? I think it looks pretty decent. And there you have it. What do we have? Probably should be others. Also, I see a superfluous space Hedron. Nearly wanted to commit. Not the greatest fan of trailing spaces. Yeah, experimenting, but again, research takes time, right? You first need to get an overview, get it building. Obviously, it built earlier. It's just a little bit of overhead of packaging this for T2 for you playing along at home. And the usual win-win. We have more of a kernel repository promoting this idea of packaging even more kernels, BSDs, Haiku, microhypervisors. Maybe the intro one, there's also some other Rust. I wonder if this is a Rust microhypervisor, which one? There's really lots of stuff going on there. Is it the Intel? Maybe this was a previously Intel one. Was this a previously Intel one? Cloud hypervisor sounds like. I mean, then I'm not a fan of this name. But yeah, it's. I would say the not. I wonder if it's mostly the Rust stuff, or I mean, maybe it's two things that ignited the reappearance of more OS research. I mean, it was never dead. There was L4 and Barrelfish and a couple of other ones, and Fuchsia and recently, but I mean, Fuchsia is probably mostly created for Google being aware that the Linux kernel is not perfect, especially in the Android context, and wanting probably especially not GPL one. And nonetheless, all the other stuff probably, well, lots of stuff hypervisor, because hypervisor and security, and the other stuff is probably Rust, I guess. And probably we should package that next. Leave in the comments below, have you played with any of them? So of course, first created a new wave of hypervisor creation, explained Adrian van der Veen, which, as far as I remember, is also an active Linux kernel developer. So yeah, the last year's veteran Linux kernel developers, as far as I remember, working on Rust hypervisors, because security, if you needed another data point of the state of C-based, single address-based security stuff. The name is a little bit too generic for my taste. and probably, yeah, we need to package it next. Anyway, I hope you learned something. Found this, as usual, small little vlog pieces here, yeah, 30 minutes. Hope you learned something and enjoy this, especially in the context of T2 or other hypervisor kernel research. Don't forget to share and subscribe, and I hope to see you soon for the next videos and more hacking code stuff to come.